Now, from the oil spill, we turn to a far more benign but equally encroaching event, the White House Correspondents Dinner. It was once just a dinner. Now it's a multi-day endurance event with a host of parties, occasional celebrities, and opportunities for acting out. Politico's Schroeder, Mullins, and Gavin are all over this anthropological event, and they now join me. Okay, and the first question is, sometimes we get sort of C-list celebrities in Washington. This is the beginning of why this is so important for Washington this weekend. What's the level of celebrity for this week?
It is almost as A-list as it can get. This happened last year with Obama's first year. All these celebrities really wanted to come and embrace Obama, and they're coming back again this year. Last year, Sting and Tom Cruise showed up. This year, it's Michael Douglas and Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, and then some others down the rank too. But Washington is now officially cool again, and they are totally embracing us.
Patrick, what do they get out of it? I mean, do they want to be seen with the president? Do they, want to be seen with David Gregory? What do the Hollywood people get out of this endurance event?
Well, I think they get out of it what a lot of us in the media get out of Washington on a weekly and monthly basis, which you get to be around a lot of politicos and a lot of famous politicians. And for them, that's very new. So I do think they get excited about that. And you hear lots of stories about Tim Daly meeting Paul Wolfowitz, or there was that classic story of a couple of years ago, I think it was Sheryl Crow and Karl Rove, and Rumsfeld always bumps into somebody interesting every year.
Sheryl Crow took on Karl Rove.
Yeah, so there's always those interesting pairings between either political rivals going at it, or ideologically rivals going out of it, or you see a liberal actor and a Republican politician finding out that they're like long-lost soulmates. So it's always a good mix for combinations.
And rank for me the important, crucial events that if you had a pass to every one of them that you shouldn't miss.
Well, obviously you shouldn't miss Tammy Haddad's brunch on Saturday, which is pre-dinner. It's sort of the brunch before a wedding, if you will. It's like everyone is excited, no one has on formal wear, and everyone is sort of seeing each other for the first or second time. And it's a really nice, situation. The New Yorker's having a party tonight. It's off the record. Not a lot of people get to go, but if you were able to go, I would definitely go to that. And Time and People also have a party tonight, which is fun. And, they sort of bring in their guests and a lot of reporters, and that's sort of a good mingling situation. And then Sunday, there are 3 brunches as well. Albritton, my boss, is having a really sort of A-list brunch. Joe Lockhart is having a brunch for the first time, which he'll probably, bring in some celebrities like Bon Jovi or something. Mm-hmm. And then John McLaughlin also has a famous brunch. It's like the wedding brunch after. It's like the Sunday brunch
People
where
are so
they're hungover.
Drinking Bloody Marys. Is this, Patrick, give me a percentage here between the number of people in Washington who are excited about this dinner and all that surrounds it, and then the number of people, a camp in which I might find myself, in which it's really kind of a chore after a while?
Well, I honestly think it depends on why you're going. For Ann and myself, we're going strictly for business reasons. We have to cover this. So that can sort of lend itself to not being as fun as if you were just going to meet celebrities. But I do. So I think if you don't go to these things all the time, why wouldn't you want to hang out with Scarlett Johansson or whatnot? But I do think there's sort of a trend. We spend months and weeks complaining about it, and then once you're there, probably on Saturday, you'll have an interesting moment. You'll meet a celebrity. You'll get a photo taken with somebody, and all of a sudden you'll be like, it's not that bad.
And there was a period where, during the Bush administration, when George Bush famously told a joke about not finding WMD, he was doing a slideshow. A picture of him looking under a table, I think, or something, and he said he was looking for WMD. Everybody laughed. This was on C-SPAN. And the rest of the country looked at this and this weekend and said, wow, these people are so out of touch. It seems now that this has become a multi-day event that's even more so the case. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that D.C. loves D.C., and I think people on the outside are like, why does, we don't really care about D.C. that much. We care about what's happening in D.C., but we don't really care about Palace Intrigue and the pomp and circumstance. That joke obviously bit him, pretty hard. And that's another thing. The entertainers of the dinner, it's a thankless job. Jay Leno's the entertainer this year. It's a situation of, if you're too soft, we are bored. If you go too far, you make headlines in the wrong way, just like that WMD joke. So it's sort of, you go back and forth.
And I also think, too, I'm very familiar with sort of the critiques about how this dinner makes the press corps and politicians look too cozy. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I sort of compare it to sort of like campaign finance. The argument being that you plug it up here, the money's going to come in somewhere else. And I think it's the same way here. I'm not advocating that, but I think if you were to shut down this dinner because it looks so cozy, journalists and politicians are still going to find a way to schmooze and hang out.
Right, and it's a moment for all of us to stop taking each other or ourselves so seriously, which is difficult to do, but will But
Try our best.
We're malcontents, you know?
Right, but we'll try our best. Patrick, let me ask you this question, and maybe Ann, you can chime in on this too. Every year there's some celebrity who walks through, and half the room knows exactly who they are, and the other half is not only doesn't know who they are, but isn't familiar with the show they're on.
Yeah.
So who are those characters this year?
It's got to be Justin Bieber,
Absolutely.
I think,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he's a huge deal. I barely know who he is.
I'm not 13, so I don't really
Right.
care.
So the people who will know is if there are any 13-year-old girls there, they'll know. But mostly the parents who have been assigned, you must get a picture, mommy,
Right.
with Justin Bieber. So he will be the one that will be swarmed, but half the people won't know who the heck he is.
And anyone else from Jersey Shore or any of
I
these
don't think the
other...
Jersey Shore guys made it.
Oh,
I don't
even
think
though
anyone
he put
invited.
out you wrote about this,
Yeah.
he put a
Yeah.
call
He
out
called
to
me
be
up
invited.
and said, "Please help me get invited." And I'm like, "I'll write about it. That's fine." You know, one of those things. One of the things about the dinner that I actually do like is that you get a Justin Bieber, you get the runner-up from American Idol. You know, then you get Mitt Romney or you get a Donald Trump. And somebody was telling me, you know, no one knows what the hierarchy is in the room. You know, so people shed their egos because, you know, typically in every other situation, Donald Trump knows that he's going to be on the top of the list. But in this room, it's sort of like, well, where do people stand? Where am I? And then people shed their egos, and then it's sort of a fun night because people are a little more, you know, open to talking and having
It
fun.
must be terribly disorienting, the ego shedding in this town. All right, final question to both of you. What does one do in Washington when they meet one of these celebrities and they have no idea who the person is? Do you fake it? Or does a celebrity, when they come to Washington, actually enjoy the idea that they can go somewhere and not be pawed over?
No celebrity likes that idea. As a reporter, I say, "How do you spell your name?" However, I mean, you sort of walk up
What
and...
if it's John?
How do you spell
Right.
your last name?
Could be Jon.
How do you spell your full name, middle name included?
It's always safe to just be like, I'm a huge fan of your work.
Right.
Because that covers anything.
Right.
You know, I could be a fan of a journalist's work, an
Right.
actor's work, an artist's work. So I think if you say that, that sort of will appease any ego-bruised celebrity.
Well, thank you both. I'm a huge fan of your work, Patrick and Ann, and we appreciate you being here with us. Good luck this weekend.